nervous to be doing this alone. But hi, welcome back to another episode of the Girls Who Get It podcast. I'm Sam, and this week I'm going to be doing a solo episode. Julia is currently in the Outer Banks on a family vacation, and I actually just got back from a family vacation. So it was a little tricky trying to coordinate a time where we could record that would work for both of us, and she's, having a good time with her family. So I was like, don't worry, I'll just do an episode by myself, but she will be back next week. So yeah, let's just chat. Like I said, I just got back from a family vacation. My brother came down here last Monday, the day before 4th of July. We just kind of hung out at the apartment, went to the pool a little bit, and then on Friday, we flew down to Florida because I actually have an older sister, a half sister on my dad's side. So we have same dad, different moms. Our dad was planning on going down and staying with her for the week, and then me and my brother were like, oh, let's go down there and surprise him, and let's, go for the weekend and just have some family time, because I hadn't seen my sister in a few years, and we got to see cousins while we were down there that I haven't seen in years. So we were down there Friday through Monday, and then my brother stayed a couple more days, and now I'm recording this on a Wednesday. He just left this morning, so I'm like starting to get back into my normal routine. But if you're watching the video version, which, by the way, if you didn't know, we have video now, so you can see the video either on Spotify or on YouTube. Our YouTube channel will be linked in the show notes if you want to see video. Oh my God, Julia just texted me and said today would have been the worst day to record because the babies haven't stopped crying. Her sister has 2 twin babies, and yeah, so it worked out for the best. But yeah, if you're watching the video version, I am extra tan right now because I spent a lot of time at the beach. It was nice to just have a little bit of a break and, just be with family, unplug, not worry about work and all of that. But at the same time, it also feels good to be back home, be back in a routine. So yeah, I worked earlier today. I just got home a little while ago. And I was like, you know what? Let me record this episode because I'm going to be super busy the rest of this week, but I feel exhausted. So if you are watching the video, I'm literally sitting in my bed in my pajamas. Like, it doesn't get any more real and casual than this. But yeah, I was doing hair today. I had 2 clients. They both had a shit ton of hair. And one of them, we did a big transformation, like a full-on, brown to blonde transformation. So I did record a little bit of that. So if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can watch the video in my next vlog. So yeah, that's what I've been up to this past week. But I'm so happy for the response to our first episode back. I'm so glad that everybody is excited about it. I'm so appreciative that everybody stuck around during that long break. And honestly, I was like, oh my God, so much time has passed now that people probably just don't even care anymore. They probably forgot about the podcast. But it got a really good response. So thank you guys so much. I'm really glad that you're enjoying it, and I appreciate your patience. But today I wanted to talk about relationships and breakups and being single in your 30s and healing and loving yourself, because if you listen to last week's episode, I shared in my update portion that I haven't been dating, I haven't been talking to anyone, I haven't even been thinking about relationships. I've just really been focusing on myself the past 6+ months and just enjoying being alone and working on myself. So we are actually going to do a Q&A next week in next week's episode, but we had posted on Instagram asking for questions for our Q&A, and some of the questions that we got are kind of inspiring what I'm going to talk about today. So we were asked, how do you get over trauma from a past relationship even though you go to therapy? How do you guys handle being 30 and alone? What are the positives of the men you've dated? Not everything is negative. How do you heal from a breakup? How do you handle being single? So I've shared in previous episodes, and you probably know a little bit about like my previous relationship history and all of that, but in case you don't, I am 31 years old. I just turned 31 last month, and I have been in 2 serious relationships in my life. The first one I got into when I was in high school. That lasted for almost 8 years. And then I was single for like exactly 1 year between that relationship and then my second one. And then the second relationship, I was in that technically for 4 years. But it's been like complicated, I guess. And we have technically been broken up now for 1.5 years, going on 2 years, and it's still complicated. The first relationship that I was in, we just got together when we were super young. I think I had like just turned 17 when we first started dating, and it's funny because we had been like best friends since middle school. I knew him for a really long time. We were super close, and it was just like the most pure, innocent puppy love. That really was my first love. And I don't know. I mean, we went through a lot because I was still in high school for part of our relationship. And then we were in college, went to separate colleges, did a little bit of long distance, eventually, finally finished school, moved in together. Like, I experienced a lot of firsts with him. He was also the first person I ever was like sexually intimate with. So that was like all I knew for a really long time. And I think because like I feel like the reason we were together for so long was because, I mean, we were friends at the core, right? So of course, like, we always had that aspect of our relationship. But I think it was because like we were in school. So we weren't necessarily like together living our lives fully yet. So there was always that like next hurdle to look forward to. There was always like, okay, like I was never really focused on like, am I happy? Is our relationship good? Because I was so like, oh, well, we're going to finish school soon and then we'll be able to move in together and things are going to be different and change. And then we finished school, but then we were like, you know, trying to find jobs, and then we moved, and it was just like always something next. There was always that next step. And I just always kind of thought like the relationship, like I'm not necessarily happy right now as is, but I think I always just blamed it on the circumstances. Oh, it's because like we're both still in school. Oh, we're long distance. Oh, this, that, whatever. And I think you also just get to a point where you are so comfortable in the relationship, especially when it's your first serious one. Because, like I said, I didn't know anything else. And I wasn't necessarily like feeling fully fulfilled and fully happy. And there were a lot of things that we just didn't see eye to eye on. Like, yeah, we were great friends, and I think like at our core, we're very similar as far as like our values, our beliefs, things like that. But as far as like just what we like to do for fun and what kind of music we like to listen to, what kind of movies we want to watch, what we like to do when we're on vacation, the foods we eat, like how we like to, like what, like our routine on a daily basis. Like we were just very, very different, at least at that time in our lives. And I don't know. I think at the time I just was like, I don't want to end this relationship because maybe I do have something really good here. And maybe I won't ever find somebody else that I'm more compatible with. And it's scary to think about like having to start over and get to know a new person, because when you've been with someone for so long, they know everything about you. You get to a point where like you don't even have to speak. Like you can just communicate telepathically pretty much. And it's scary to think about having to start over with someone new. For a while, I had the idea in my head, like I was questioning things, like, I don't know, like, am I actually happy? Is this a good relationship? Is this just how things get after a while? That was the other thing too. I felt like I didn't really have the best example growing up, because like I don't, like, my parents don't really have the best relationship. Like, I did not grow up with parents that were like affectionate with each other. I grew up with a lot of resentment and arguing. So I didn't have a healthy example to know what to expect. So I was also just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Is this just how it is? Is this as good as it's going to get? Is this just after you've been with someone for a long time? Is it just like this? Am I supposed to just accept it and like this is just it for me? I feel like especially when we would go on trips, I would feel so lonely because we just were never on the same page and we were just so different. And I feel like when we were home in our comfort zone, it wouldn't come out as much because we were just like in our routine. But when that routine would get disturbed and we'd be like on a vacation or something, that's really when I would notice like, oh my God, we are just so different. Like, we really have nothing in common. Like, this is not my person. Like, we don't want to do anything together. We just keep arguing. Like, I can't enjoy myself and have fun with this person. Like, we would be doing our own separate things. And that sucks. And I just remember that feeling of like, oh my God, it would be so nice. Like, what would it be like to be with someone that actually wants to do the same stuff as me? That, like, we can enjoy our time together. Because I feel like, you know, he would do things with me sometimes that he wasn't interested in, but he'd just be, like, moping and miserable the whole time. And then I would go do things with him that he liked that I wasn't interested in, and I would just be like, like, I'm just here because, but like, I'm not, like, I don't want to be doing this, you know? I'm not enthusiastic about this. And I was like, God, what would it be like to actually be with someone that was similar to me, where we could do something we both like together and both really be happy? So I would have those thoughts a lot. But then also at the same time, obviously you care about this person. You've been with them for a really long time. It's scary and it's really sad to think about ending a relationship. And I also think that it's totally normal when you've been with someone for a really long time to have those doubts and questions. Like, is this really the right person for me? Am I happy? Especially when you get really stuck in a rut. But I just felt like I was at a point where I was like, I don't feel like there's anything we can really do to repair things. Like, nothing needs to be repaired. We're just very different, and I just don't feel like we are compatible. So, yeah, I just talked to him about it the one day, and it was really fucking hard. Cried a lot, and I felt really, really guilty for a very long time. And we didn't talk for a while. We, like, initially tried to remain friends, but it was just too hard because of the circumstances. Like, I felt like it was giving him false hope, and I didn't want to like lead him on at all, and it was just making me feel even more guilty too. So it was just making it impossible for either of us to be able to just move on with our lives. So I decided, like, I think no contact for a while is the best option. So we didn't speak for quite a while, like over a year, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was like almost 2 years after our breakup before we actually like saw each other in person and like had our first conversation again, like post breakup. And that's why when I hear some people say like, oh, the best way to get over a breakup, like I always used to say this because that's what I experienced the first time around, and that's what felt right for me, and that's what worked for that situation, was doing the no contact. A lot of people will say after a breakup, don't talk to the person, pretend they don't exist. And like I said, for that first relationship, that's what I did because that's what felt necessary and that's what felt right and that's what worked. But it's not what happened with the second breakup. So I really feel like you just have to do what feels right for you, because not every relationship is the same. Not every breakup is the same. And the way that you heal from each breakup is not going to always be the same. So, yeah, I was single for exactly 1 full year. And I did like casually date, quote unquote, doing air quotes if you're watching the video. A few months after the breakup, my friends, I was in cosmetology school at the time, and my friends, Julia being one of them, she was like the main one actually, they were like, you need to get on the dating apps, you need to put yourself out there, and you need to move on. And I was horrified at the thought of that. Horrified at the thought of online dating in general. It made me cringe. Horrified at the thought of like casually dating. Horrified at the thought of hooking up casually. All of it was terrifying because it was all like new territory for me. So yeah, Julia took my phone, made me a Tinder, and I eventually warmed up to it and I did start using it. And it was a great year because it was the first time that I was single as an adult. I was putting myself out there and I was just learning about myself and learning what I like, what I don't like, what I'm looking for personality-wise, sexually as well, what I'm attracted to. Because like I said, like that first relationship, we were really good friends, but it wasn't even like we were strangers who met and got to know each other. Like, I knew him as a friend. It was purely platonic for years. And then it was like, oh, okay, naturally evolved into a romantic relationship. But by the time that happened, I was so comfortable with him. I knew him so well. I trusted him. So dating strangers was like totally different from anything I had ever experienced. So yeah, I did the online dating thing. I did the one night stand thing. I did casual and all that. And also at this time, like I said, I was in cosmetology school. So I was living with my ex, and then I decided I just wanted to change my life completely. I was like, I am finally going to just enroll myself in cosmetology school and go do hair like I've always wanted to. I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to move out of this town that I really don't like. And I'm going to get out of this relationship that I'm not happy in anymore. So I moved back home with my parents, ended the relationship, enrolled in cosmetology school. So it was a lot of change happening during that time. And my brother had this friend that started coming over to the house because my brother was living with my parents at the time as well. So I remember I saw this meme on Instagram. I think I have the meme saved. Let me try to find it. Okay, apparently I don't have it saved. But it was something like, me at 20, oh, I'm going to go out and try to meet a man. And then me at 27, my soulmate better find me on my couch in my pajamas or something like that. Like, walk into my living room and find me on the couch. And literally, like, the same week that I saw that meme and I had liked it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's hilarious, so relatable. I'm literally sitting in the living room on the couch in my pajamas, hair a mess. I had my glasses on. I'm with my mom. We also, by the way, were watching Shameless at the time. And I was like, oh my God. I kept saying to her, I was like, Lip is so hot. Oh my God. This man walks in through the front door, walks in through the living room, and I'm like, what? Basically, like Lip's doppelganger, but hotter. And I remember he had gray sweatpants on. Ladies, I know you know about the gray sweatpants. And I was just like, who is that? Excuse me? What? As I'm over here looking crazy. My brother knew him from high school, and then after they graduated, I guess they like reconnected through like a mutual friend or something, and then they ended up working together, and they became really good friends, and they were hanging out all the time. So he was always coming over to the house, and me and my brother are very close. If you listen to the episode we had with him from the first season, you would know. So I would hang out with my brother sometimes at the house, and his friend would be there. So I kind of like got to spend a little time around him, and he would like give me guy advice. I'd like, you know, be talking to him and my brother about like the stupid guys that I would meet on Tinder and stuff. And I would always refer to him to my friends as my brother's hot friend. And I remember like anytime he'd come over, I'd text my group chat and be like, oh my God, the hot friend is here. And one night we were at a New Year's Eve party, and, you know, I got some alcohol in me, and I made my move, shot my shot, and then, yeah, the rest is history. We ended up dating. Well, we were like just kind of, you know, hanging out, wink wink, casually for a little while, and then I don't know, you know, it wasn't intended to become serious because it was like, oh, this is my brother's friend, and like my brother was not happy about us getting together. That is a different story for a different episode. We ended up not speaking for like 2 years because of my relationship with his friend. We just ended up like falling madly in love with each other, and it turned out like as we were spending, you know, more and more time together, it turned out we were very, very, very similar. And all of those things with my ex before him, where I was like, oh my God, you know, we don't have anything in common. I wish it'd be so nice if like he liked the same music as me, or if we could watch the same kind of movies, or if we could, you know, enjoy the same things. And now to be with this other guy that actually does like the same things as me and wants to do the same stuff as me, and we can have so much fun together. It was so exciting and so refreshing. And that thought I had, you know, the fear of like, oh my God, having to like start over with a stranger and like get to know somebody else and have them learn about me. Like I had dreaded that, but then as it was happening, it was so fun and exciting, and it was so nice. You know, when you're with someone for so long and they just know everything about you, like you don't have any new stories to share with them from your childhood, or like this really funny thing that happened to you one time. Like they already know all of that stuff. So it's kind of exciting to get to share stories with someone new and get to know someone new. And it's so cool when you can tell them these things and like see how excited and interested they are to learn stuff about you. And it's also nice to like kind of reinvent yourself a little bit, because I feel this way even with like friendships that I have. Like I have my one best friend that has known me since I was 11 years old. And sometimes like when I hang out with her, I feel almost like I'm stuck as that same 11-year-old girl, because like she knew a different version of me, not that I changed into somebody different, but like I grew up, like we all change and evolve, obviously, as we get older, as we have new experiences, meet new people, move to new places, whatever. And I love her, and I love that she knows me so well and that we have so much history and she, all these memories together. But it's also really refreshing and nice to hang out with my new friends that have only known me for like a year or two, because I really can just be the current version of myself. And I don't have to deal with like weird reactions to things that I will say or do or whatever, you know what I mean? Because like they only know me now as I am. They don't know me when I was a dumb, insecure, mean, bully preteen, you know? Like they know the nice version of me as an adult. Everything with him was always so easy. And even from the very beginning, like when I didn't know him, but I always felt so comfortable somehow around him. Like I never felt embarrassed or self-conscious or anything. Like I just fully felt like I could be 100% myself and totally let my guard down. It was just a good feeling. But I don't know. We had our issues. And then, like COVID happened and we both were going through our own like mental health things, and I got to a point where I was just feeling super miserable and depressed about my living situation and where I lived. Like I would just honestly, when I think even now about my hometown, it makes my skin like I just want to rip my skin off. Like it makes me miserable to think about it. I love where I live in North Carolina now so much, and I think about that on a daily basis. I'm like, I am so happy I moved here. I love it here so much. On my vacation in Florida, and even like I went to Vegas a few months ago, and like anytime I go on a trip anywhere, I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but like I can't wait to go home. Like I love where I live so much. I would rather be there. Like I feel like where I live is a vacation, and just nothing else compares. And that's such a cool feeling, But yeah, so I was going through that, and I don't know, we just weren't being nice to each other. I wanted to leave, and I felt like our relationship wasn't that good anyway. And we had a lot of the thing that was different with the second relationship was we talked a lot. He's also a Gemini, as am I. So the communication was really there. So we talked a lot, and we had been talking for like over a year about our relationship and if things were working out or not. And I don't know, it was just hard because like I think we were at a point where like neither of us were really that happy, but like we just liked each other so much still. But I don't know. I was like, I just know for myself, for my own personal growth and well-being and mental health, I need to get the fuck out of here. I need to move. I need to just be somewhere where I can feel happy. So I left. I moved to North Carolina. We decided to just end our relationship at that point. It was really hard. I cried a lot. Like pretty much the whole time I was driving here, I was crying. And we still stayed in contact here and there, but I was like, I'm going to do my thing and date. Like I was ready to move on because he was still in school. He still is. He's almost done now, but he was still in school and was not planning on leaving. He wanted to stay and finish his schooling, understandably. So I was like, well, I'm here, he's there. Like maybe things will work out in the future, but as of right now, like we are not together. So I'm just going to try to put myself out there, see what else is out there, move on. If I meet somebody cool, I don't know, we'll see. So I did the dating, and that was like, we had started the podcast, I think only like a couple months after I moved here. So I've shared all of my like dating experience on this podcast in the first season. So yeah, I mean, I went on a few dates here and there. Nothing was good. Only one person made it to a second date, and then we never spoke again after that. I also think that you can't put a time limit on healing and on heartbreak, and you just have to do what feels right for you and just get through it however you can. And if that means cutting off all communication, great. If that means being single for a while and just focusing on yourself, great. If that means immediately going and starting to date right away, great. If that means staying in contact with your ex, great. Like, do that. Don't worry about what other people say, what other people do. Just get through it however you need to get through it, honestly. And in time, things will just work themselves out the way they're supposed to. But I said at the beginning that things have been complicated because we still stayed in touch. I mean, we maybe went like a few weeks here and there where we didn't talk to each other, but we never cut off communication completely. We never like blocked each other or anything like that. And he's still close with my family, and he's still best friends with my brother. He has my cat. He asked if he could keep her, so she's there with him. He came down and visited me a few months after I moved here. I've gone up to visit my family, but also I saw him every time I went up there and stayed with him. And I don't know, we've just been very like back and forth, on and off, and it's just hard because I'm really happy where I'm at, and I don't want to leave, because I know if I'm happy with my environment and with my life and my routine and my career and all of that, it just makes me a more pleasant person to be around, which makes me a better partner. And if I'm living somewhere where I'm miserable, I'm going to just be a miserable person and not a good partner, and it's not going to be a good relationship. So I don't know. I just decided like the best thing for me is to just stay here, stay where I feel happy, and if it's meant to work out and we're meant to be together, it'll happen. I'm just kind of focusing on myself and going with the flow. But that's the thing too that I've realized is sometimes the person's just not the right person for you. Other times it could be the right person and maybe just the wrong timing because of your age, because of where you are in life, because of just, your circumstances. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it can't work out in the future. But I think the best thing that I've learned and the best thing I got out of all of these experiences, but especially like the most recent one, is I've been able to reflect a lot on what kind of partner I was, because I think I always had a really immature mindset and I was always selfish and just kind of thought about what my partners were doing or not doing and what I needed and wanted out of a partner in a relationship. And I wasn't focusing on myself or like reflecting on what kind of a partner I was, how I was treating my significant other. And I've really been doing that a lot the past year and a half. And it's made me realize that like I've always been the kind of person that's like very, I don't know, like I'm a very tough love kind of person. I'm not super soft. I'm not super emotional. I'm not nurturing. And it's interesting because it's like I want someone that's going to be like really loving and affectionate and lovey-dovey towards me and do all these nice sweet things for me and all romantic to me, but like I'm not doing that to them. So like I'm just going to get back what I'm giving out, And it made me realize, like, no, I want to be softer and more loving and kind and compassionate. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been good doing a lot of like self-reflection and also just like spending time by myself and like living alone. It's been great. And I know it's not for everybody, but for me, it's been fantastic. And I've really been enjoying it. And it's just like, of course, I get lonely sometimes. Of course. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely times where I'm like, wow, it would be really nice to have someone to cuddle with or like have someone to help me with things. Like, it can be tough being on your own, not having any help financially, with the dog, with errands, cooking, cleaning, you know, like carrying the groceries up the stairs. I know what I want for myself, and I feel confident that when the time is right and when I am ready for it, the right person will come into my life. And whether that is my ex or somebody brand new or someone else from my past, I don't know. It'll happen when it's meant to happen. I truly believe that. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this time alone while I can. And I'm just making the most of it. And I honestly really enjoy it. It's very peaceful. It's so nice to be able to just have things the way I want them, have things be clean all the time. Like, my brother was staying with me, and I'm like, why is it anytime my brother, my dad comes to stay with me, I'm like, why are men so disgusting? Even when I was living with my previous boyfriends, like, they are just so gross. And like the bathroom, the toilet, like, gets so disgusting. But when you live by yourself and you just have yourself to clean up after, it's so fantastic. And you know, you can do whatever you want. You can pick whatever scented candles you want. You can buy whatever the hell you want, whatever home decor you want. You don't have to hear anything from anybody about it. You can pick what movie you're gonna watch, and like everything is totally up to you. Can have everything be exactly the way you want it. You don't have to compromise on anything, which is so nice. And I think this time alone has really also allowed me to realize my worth. Like, I'm really working on myself because I just want to be the best version of me that I can possibly be. And that's, like I was saying, about just being like softer, kinder, more nurturing. Also just being in better shape physically, being in a better headspace, just being a more pleasant person. And, you know, I just want to be the best me for myself so I can live my best life and be super happy, and then eventually in turn be a really good partner for someone. And in doing that, I'm realizing, okay, I'm worth a lot and I need to be with someone that's going to also bring a lot to the table, because now I have so much to give. Maybe I wasn't, you know, bringing my best and being 100% before in my previous relationships, but now I will. I have so much more I can say on this topic, but if you're watching the video, the sun has now set and it's dark in my room, so I am going to wrap up this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and got all the nitty-gritty details of my previous relationships. I shared some stuff that I've never shared online before, so I hope that you enjoyed that. Don't forget, if you aren't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, like I said, the link will be in the show notes. Please go subscribe. Even if you don't want to watch the videos, subscribe to the channel. It'll help us out a lot. We also have a merch shop, so if you'd like to support the podcast and get some Girls Who Get It merch, that will also be linked down in the description show notes. And go follow us on Instagram. It's at Girls Who Get It Podcast. We post on there. We've been posting on our stories whenever we do Q&As or, you know, polls or anything like that. That's always on there. We're probably going to start doing some Instagram lives again as well. So make sure you're following us so you don't miss out on any of that. And I will be back with a new episode with Julia next week. So until then, TTYL. Bye, guys.